So our study unit 1 is on chapter 1 on your textbook. It's South African economic indicators. So it's more like an introduction to what we are going to be dealing with. So remember, we said the module is about economic indicators. So we are simply saying what I'm trying to run away from the word indicator. What measures are you going to look at in order to be able to see how the South African economy is performing? So the economic indicators that we're talking about in this instance, we are going to talk about GDP, we are going to talk about the rate of economic growth, the consumer and producer price index, inflation rate, interest rate, we talk about money supply, exchange rates, and the budget deficit. So these are the indicators that are going to tell us how well we are doing as a country. This chapter serves as an introduction to economic indicators in general. So, and there is a question, why do we need to study economic indicators? Why are they useful? So we have a group of people who usually need this kind of information. So firstly, we say it's used to monitor the economy by investors who try to achieve the best returns on their investments. Secondly, business people use the indicators to make strategic decisions regarding their existing businesses or potential new business. And we have economists on the one side and other analysts on the other side, using these indicators to assess the performance of the economy and check whether specific objectives are being met. So these objectives, normally we are going to refer to them as our economic objectives. There is 5 of them. We're going to see them now here. Okay. Speculators use these indicators to look for profit opportunities. So our speculators, they normally come in maybe when the price is at a certain level, buy or sell, and then buy again or sell again, and so on. So that is what they do. So they look for profit opportunities, and to do that, they need these indicators to know how a particular economy is performing. So they say over here, we need to be able to differentiate between pure economic indicators and financial indicators. So in this instance, most of these ones that we've dealt with here would be our pure economic indicators, the ones that we have over here. Financial indicators, we have set different set of indicators, but in this instance, we are mostly interested in just our economic indicators. Assessing performance of the economy, we have our macroeconomic objectives. We say there are 5 of them. These are the 5. So firstly, we talk about economic growth, full employment, price stability, balance of payment stability, and equitable distribution of income. So these are the goals or objectives that we are trying to achieve in any particular economy. So we are going to, since we already have what we are trying to achieve, in order to see how well along are we coming in terms of trying to achieve these objectives, we are going to use these indicators that we have given to assess these particular goals. So it's not like one indicator applies to all of them. One indicator would work for a certain thing. For example, we know if we come over here and talk about price stability, with price stability, that's where we're going to get our CPI, our PPI, we talk about our inflation. These are going to be measures that help us to understand or say more about price stability. Economic growth, that's where we are going to talk about our GDP, rate of economic growth. What about anything else? Things like food employment. We don't have anything here in terms of food employment on the given economic indicators. These are not conclusive. It's not all of them, because we still have things like unemployment, which are economic indicators as well. So in order to do all this, where are we going to get our data? We've already mentioned in our introduction session, we have already talked about the South African Reserve Bank. We said that information that we have, the tables, we get it from the quarterly bulletin of the South African Reserve Bank. There is also an annual report. So where else can we get that? The most common one where we get our information is our Stats SA, Statistics SA. That's where we get most of our data relating to most of these economic measures we're talking about. There is the quarterly labor force survey, again done by Stats SA. In that, obviously, it's labor force. It has to do with your objective number 2, macroeconomic objective number 2, which talks about full employment. Budget review, that's the treasury. Financial institutions publish regular reviews of the economy and financial markets. International agencies such as IMF, World Bank, and United Nations regularly collect and publish data for all countries. So that's that in terms of our where we are going to get the sources of data that we are going to need. So should you even, not just for this module, later on if you want to do your research, you can always come back to this page and remind yourself, where can I get information? If I'm looking for particular information, you know where to get it. If it deals with labor, you go to States SA. Almost for everything that you're going to deal with, though, States SA provides that data. If it's international, at an international level, mostly World Bank though is the one that has what you are going to need, and then the International Monetary Fund or United Nations if you're dealing with the global scale. After we have collected the data from wherever sources, we know which goal we are trying to assess, and so we know which particular indicator to look at. We are going to go on and talk about interpreting economic data. So as a note, we say students must be aware that economic data can be manipulated to demonstrate almost anything, and therefore can be misleading. It can be abused by academics, economics, business people, politicians, or anyone interested in showing specific results. As such, it's going to be misleading because it can be manipulated. So manipulation of the data, I can use an example. If I'm trying to show, let's say someone comes in and says, I believe people in this particular place are earning so much and so much money, like it's way above, they are getting more than what they should be paid. And then I get, maybe let's say there's 7 people, for argument's sake, out of the 7 people, 4 of these people are getting, I would say 10,000 rand. There's 2 people who are getting, how much are they getting, these other 2 people? I can give them 7,000 rand. And then the last person is maybe the owner or the CEO of that corporation. They are getting 150K. So now if we were to talk about the averages, what is on average, what is the amount that these people are going to be getting? Obviously, this data can be distorted. If I want to show, to make it seem as if the people are getting a lot of money, I'm going to simply average all of these guys. So for the first 4, it would be 40K, then plus the 7 times 2, I would say that's a 14 plus 150. I don't like my numbers. I don't know why I chose these numbers. Okay, that's 50. It would give me 204. Then I can go on and say 204 divided by 7. I have 7 people. My calculator is going to work now. 204 divided by 7. It would be, so I can go on and say, no, on average on this particular company, people are earning 29,000. So in reality, we know that is not true, because almost all of these people are not even close to 29,000. This data was distorted just by one person. So in this instance, because I want to show it as to seem as if people are getting a lot of money, I included this particular guy who has 150K, and it kind of distorts everything. It doesn't show the distribution of income, which is one of the issues that we talked about here as our objectives, equitable distribution of income. Again, if I want to mislead the people again and not talk about this guy, I could simply take away one observation. Remember, at times you're going to be having thousands and thousands of observations. So one observation less, you are probably not even going to notice what happened. I did with these people. It now means I'm going to take away this number. I'm going to have 40 over, sorry, that's a plus 14. That gives me a 54. 54 divided by 6 is going to give me 9K. So on average, now I'm saying these people are earning 9K. So maybe that's closer to the truth, but again, it has been distorted. So which one is the correct way to use is all going to depend. So having talked about that, it takes us to this point where we are saying, so Following are some important points to bear in mind when analyzing data. So what you need to keep in mind. Firstly, you need to know the definitions and you need to know the period. Are we talking about monthly or annually? And if it's monthly, we normally refer to that as fiscal. If it's annual, it's calendar. Is it seasonally adjusted? Ascertain the geographical coverage. Is it adjusted for inflation or not? So we are going to talk a lot about something that is adjusted for inflation or not. That would give us the difference between nominal and real. So nominal is not adjusted for inflation, whereas real is adjusted for inflation. And then going on, we look at, say, will it be revised or has it been revised, that particular data? And then you can plot the graph so that it can help you to visualize whatever you're talking about. And you need to make sure you don't confuse levels with rate of change. And key thing is that correlation does not imply causation. I know that sounds like fancy English, but it's just a simple explanation actually. So what we are saying is, let's say today, okay, I don't know. Let me just say today is a Tuesday. Yellow doesn't, I can't see. Okay, what happened? So let's say today, come on, today is a Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, what do? I wear a gray jacket. Come Wednesday, I wear Wednesday, yeah, that's Wednesday enough. I wear a gray jacket. Thursday, I decide no, too much gray. Let me be colorful. I go red. Friday, I go gray again. So now what happened, what I didn't say now is that on Tuesday when I wore a gray jacket, it rained. It rained again on Wednesday. No rain on Thursday and rain on Friday. So you notice that in some ways, every time I wear a gray jacket, it rains. So if we are going to run a regression in terms of these two data, it's going to correlate. It will be positive because every time my jacket is worn, the gray one, it's going to rain. But now, does that mean causation? In this instance, the question is, does it mean that is it saying if I wear a gray jacket, it causes it to rain? So was it raining because I wore the gray jacket? That is what we are talking about here. Obviously, the answer is no. It was going to rain anyway. Maybe I wore the gray jacket because I saw that it's going to rain and it's waterproof. But no, don't worry. I'm just saying an example. So correlation does not imply causation. Just because things appear to be moving together, it doesn't necessarily mean one causes the other. So that's a critical thing that we need to keep in mind as we are going through our module. Basic concepts and techniques. So we are going to talk about value. In our normal economics, we would term that as our total revenue, which is always represented by PQ, which is your price times quantity. So to get volume, you are going to, or quantity, you just play around with the equation. It will give you the second equation. Real and nominal values, as it said at each on them, real values are adjusted for inflation and they are expressed in constant prices, whereas nominal values, they are not adjusted and they are expressed in current prices. Percentages, we know what percentages are. If I ask you, what do you want to get on your final exam, you are able to tell me, I want 20%, I want 30%. I hope you are not aiming for that because you are not going to pass. So you can tell me a certain percentage. So if we say a percentage is calculated by expressing the absolute difference between two numbers as a ratio of the original number and multiplying the result by 100. Percentage changes between two numbers, we can work them out as well. So if I give you a test, let's say your assignment 1, is it out of 30 questions? I think it's 30 questions. Is it fine if I check? Where is assignment 1? Over here, I can scroll down quickly. Question, okay, there we go. I wish I could do this faster. Question 13, question 26, question 30. Oh, it goes on and on. Oh, 35, that's too much for my liking. So it's out of 35. You get, okay, let me be positive. I don't want to stress you guys. You get 33. But 33 is too much. Okay, no, I'm not saying get less, but yeah, 33 because of the errors in the tables and all that. So you get 33, we can express that as a percentage. So we said you take the absolute difference between the two numbers as a ratio of the original number and multiplying by the result by 100. So now they're talking about two numbers, but if it's one number, so you're simply going to say 33 over 35 times 100. It will give you your percentage. Between two numbers, the easiest way to use, I always say, it's new minus old over old times 100. So in this instance, they told us the price increases from 20 rand to 25 rand. So what is the change in percentage points? We said from 20 to 25. Which one is the new and which one is the old? So it was moving from, so that is the old one, and this is the new one. My formula, we said new minus old over old times 100. That is going to give us, what's the new one? 25 minus 20 over old 20 times 100. I can count, I can do this. I know I can do this. 5 times 5, that would give me 25%. That is how I would calculate a percentage point or a percentage change. So 25% change is what we have over there. So then if we were to express this now in terms of percentage points, so this is just a percentage. It changed from 20 to 25 rand, it changed by 25%. As a percentage point, there is something different. So we can leave it that, okay, let me call it the proper name. This is, I'll call this a percentage point for highlighting. Then there is what we call a basis point. So instead of using a percentage, they use what is called a basis point. So we say basis points are used in financial markets where each percentage point consists of 100 basis points. So each one of these 25 percentage points has 100 in them. So if I want to express this in basis point, what do I do? It would be 25 percentage. 1 has 100. So if it's 2, it's now going to be 200. If it's 25, it's going to be times 100, which is going to be 2,500 basis points, not percentages. If it's basis points, it will be 2,500. Percentage is going to be 25. And then at times, if they give you 1%, especially for those of you who are going to do your, maybe you're doing investments or something, if you have 1% and you're supposed to change it to a basis point, you're going to say 1 over 100. It should give you 0.01 basis points. Okay, much about that. Going on to levels and rates of change, we just given figures here to say, for example, GDP in China in 2009 was US 5.588 billion, and that was before the coronavirus. Okay, China 2009, that's that. South Africa in 2009 was 275 billion. So based on this information, the question is, can we say it's obvious that China's economy has been growing faster than South Africa's economy? So you'd have to say, is this true or false? So if you just look at the numbers, you could probably say, yes, it's true. But what we are looking at is the growth. You cannot determine growth simply by 1 year. You cannot determine growth. You can't say this is China has grown. If we don't know what it was the previous year. What if the previous year it had been 6 billion? It would mean, can we say this is, in South Africa was 200? In this instance, South Africa is actually growing, whereas China is declining. So it's not necessarily true to say because this number for China is bigger, it automatically means it's growing faster than South Africa. So we say high level should not be confused with a high rate of change, because we did not calculate any rate of change. We were not given two numbers, we only had one number. To find a rate of change, we agreed we are going to say new minus old over old times 100, and here we only have the new number. Back to our economics 1501, 1601, we talked about stocks and flows. So a stock has no time dimension, it's measured at a specific point in time. We have examples over there. A flow is measured over a period of time. A ratio, it can be calculated between two stocks, it can be two floors or a stock and a floor. Ratios and so on and so on. So that is just a bit of theory that you need to know. We have averages. You are going to use the averages, especially for your assignments, and you do get it on your multiple choice part of your exam. Simple average or the mean is the most commonly used measure of central tendency. You just take everything and divide by the number of observations, like we did with our example there with the guy with 150 and 7,000 and 10,000. We added everything together and divided by the total number of observations. Excuse me. Weighted average is calculated when the different observations are not equally important. Example, two goods, food 10 rand per unit and clothing 100 rand per unit. 90% is spent on food and 10% on clothing. So the weighting, it can't really be that the one that we use. So to solve our dilemma that we had before here, you remember on one side it would give us an average of 29, and then on the other side it gave us an average of 9, which is like, it makes much of a difference if you are going to interpret your data, or if you want to conduct a business and you want to determine what level of income are the people from this particular group. So to get rid of that problem, we could assign ways to say anyone below 10K. I don't know why I'm back to yellow. I can't see yellow. 10K, anyone below 10K, we say they're going to contribute 0.8, and anyone above, sorry, above 10K, so this is less, what am I saying? Okay, this is less than 10K, and then this is greater than 10K. It's going to be 0.2. So now it would mean we are going to be calculating a weighted average. We are going to take that 10K multiplied by 90% or 80% in our case, plus the other part. You see the answer is going to be better, different. Moving averages, they are used to smooth erratic movements in time series to obtain a general trend. And then the final measure that we can talk about is the median. So median, it means the middle. So it's the value that is in the middle. So if you have three numbers, it's easy. You just pick the middle number. If you have four numbers, it's difficult because you don't have an exact mean. You have two numbers at the center. So you add them together and divide them by 2. Key thing, you always need to make them in ascending or descending order. You need to arrange them. So for example, try this one to give me the median. You cannot just count the numbers. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There is 12. So we know it's this middle number. So you can't just come here and say it's between these two numbers because I have 5 on each side. So I'm going to say 5 plus 2 divided by 2. This is going to be wrong. First, you need to arrange them in ascending order. Start by 1, followed by 2. How many 2s are there? I can only see 1. Okay, I'll just cancel that, cancel that. How many 3s are there? 1, 3, 2, 4s, and so on and so on. Only after that are you going to take the middle numbers, add them together. So that's it for our introduction part in terms of our study unit 1, where we are just introducing the concept, what we are going to be dealing with, the numbers and the calculations that we are going to be using. So that's our study unit 1. Okay, come on.